Hey, it's the Nerdy Sports Fan, and we're still breaking down the schedule, going team by team, making our record predictions. We're getting into the AFC West, and starting things off with the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos had a fantastic draft. They've had a very good offseason in general, addressing both offensive line needs, though not all of them, and a lot of speed on this offense. The defense has still some holes that they should be trying to address, but adding Casey to the front line really helps the defensive front. The secondary took a big hit with Chris Harris's departure. How are you going to replace a top 5 corner, really? So the secondary is not going to be as strong as it was in years past, and that's a big thing for a Fangio defense. So we'll see how the defense works out, but hopefully the simple fact that Fangio is a defensive mind will really right the ship there, so they can focus on just adding talent to the offense. Shermer has a lot of toys to work with. So there's a lot of moving parts in this offseason. Lots of moving parts typically don't add up to extremely successful seasons. I expect growth. I expect Drew Lock to look a heck of a lot better than he did his first few games last year. And really, last year he didn't look terrible. So, I think they may have found the guy there for them. Let's dig into the season, though. And they're starting things off with the Titans. It's at home, sure, but it's a Monday night game. So, with Drew Lock being as young as he is, I just don't see him in opening week, the bright lights of Monday Night Football, really doing well in that environment. It's a very tough matchup already with the Titans. And you put it on that kind of stage, I think it's going to be too much for the young man. So I think they're starting off with an L. At the Steelers, this game's a toss-up. Okay? And before I dig further, I will put some into a guaranteed loss, some into a guaranteed win. A good amount will go into more of a toss-up category because it is just far too early to say wins, losses for sure without seeing any sort of preseason action or anything. Anybody telling you any different is just an idiot. And the Steelers is going to be in that toss-up category, mostly because we really have no idea what Big Ben is going to be. Coming back from an injury that kept him away from football most of last year, Roethlisberger is going to have to prove to the league that at his advanced age, I know we're talking about him like an octogenarian here, but as old as he is he going to be able to come back at anywhere near the level he was before? Sure, they're saying he's going to come back better, but teams always say crap like that. So if Big Ben is true to form, this is a loss. If he's not, you got a real shot at going into Pittsburgh and punching him in the mouth. So, toss up. All right, so you got the Buccaneers, but you got them at home. Now, that is what puts it into the toss-up category for me. Obviously, Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's also 40-something years old. And he doesn't have Belichick's defense backing him up anymore. So that defensive weakness that everybody should perceive in the Buccaneers secondary is enough for me to say you have them at home. You've had a little time to recuperate from a tough loss with the Titans and kind of get your feet wet with the Steelers game. So I think by the time the Buccaneers come to town, Drew Lock will have hit a good groove and will make this a very competitive game. Now, at the Jets, I'm also putting this in the toss-up category. The Jets are a weak team, for certain. This is a very winnable game. I'm not calling a second-year quarterback going on the road to New York for the first time a guaranteed lock for a win. I'm just not, okay? Young quarterbacks do not travel well, period. Again, the Jets are a weak team, but the Broncos are not in a situation yet where they can call out wins like that. They're just not. At the Patriots, this is also a toss-up. Belichick does not lose to young quarterbacks. So it will be tough for the young man. It really will. But he doesn't have Tom Brady. He doesn't have Gronk. The offense was crap in New England before Tom Brady left. What, are you going to have Edelman throwing the ball to himself? The Patriots will struggle to score points all season. And so you have the Patriots with Stidham going up against Fangio's defense. That is equally as tough as Locke going up against Belichick's defense. That is a push. So now what you're saying is, what's the supporting cast doing? And I just think the Broncos have a better supporting cast right now, but it's in New England. So there's a lot of coin flip situations here. That's why it's in the toss-up category. All right, so the Dolphins, another toss-up, mostly because the Dolphins they're getting a lot better. A lot better. Okay? Flores looked much more comfortable in his role as a head coach in his first year than Fangio did. Much more comfortable. And they're building that roster the right way. They've got their quarterback now, and he doesn't even need to start because they still have Ryan Fitzpatrick. The rest of the roster is relatively weak, but at this point in their careers, Fitzpatrick brings a lot more to the table than Drew Lock does. And you can't discount the offensive weapons that they have in Miami entirely. Devontae Parker really broke out last year. And your secondary is now weakened by the fact that Chris Harris Jr. is not there anymore. So Miami's making strides. Pretty much the same kind of strides that Denver's making. They're both improving. They both still have holes. Just Miami's got a few more holes, but they've also got veteran leadership that Denver's lacking. Anytime you have a very young quarterback out there, unless it's frickin' Mahomes, you can be mistake prone. There's been some serious upgrades to the defensive secondary of Miami. Byron Jones can easily bait a quarterback as young as Drew Lock into an interception or any other sort of major mistake. So, yeah, toss-up. You getting the Chiefs at home, doesn't matter, it's a loss. The Chiefs are an absolute offensive juggernaut. Their defense is better than people like to talk about because it's just depressing thinking about an offense that spectacular that actually has a good defense. There's not really much chance here. Okay, you're at least a year away from truly competing with the Chiefs. After that, you got a bye week. Now, a mid-season bye week is better than an early bye week, but it's still kind of crap. You're really hoping for a later bye week, just in case you're really in playoff contention, which honestly I don't necessarily think the Broncos are, but if you are in playoff contention, you want to have that rest week later on, as late as possible, really. So week 8, not terrible, but not as good as it could have been. All right, so week 9, you're at the Falcons. That's a W. Okay, you've had the bye week to rest and study for this. And the Falcons are going to be hot garbage this year. All right? They should have fired their coach 2 seasons in a row now. And just through spite or whatever the hell it is, the owner refuses to get rid of the guy. I don't know. I don't know if this is like a Bengals with Marvin Lewis situation or a Cowboys with Jason Garrett situation where they just love the dude and they want it to be something it's not. But Atlanta's needed to move on from Quinn for a long time. And the more seasons they put that off, the worse they get. Okay, the longer they're separated from Kyle Shanahan being the offensive coordinator, the worse this team looks. And it's only going to get worse. And they're going to be a cakewalk. So, at Vegas. That's right. You're going to visit the Raiders. that's going to be a loss. All right? You're riding high after a win, 2 road games in a row. John Gruden and Derek Carr, now a few seasons in, really knowing each other. They're upgrading that team really well. I don't see it going into the black hole and coming out with a victory. With, again, Drew Lock being as young as he is. So, you get the Chargers at home. That's a win. Chargers, at that point in the season, are probably going to be thinking they're pushing their rookie out pretty soon. They have I want to say week 12 bye week. Might be week 10. Either way, right in this range of the season, there's going to be a lot of talk about getting Herbert out there, if it hasn't happened already. And second-year quarterback in Locke, definitely a leg up on rookie Justin Herbert. Herbert has the better defense behind him, for certain. But the Broncos might actually have the better offensive situation now, considering, Rivers leaving, Herbert and Tyrod being the quarterbacks there now. Melvin Gordon no longer being there and now being with the Broncos, the draft that the Broncos have had, along with Shermer's offense. This is, at the very least, a push for skill position, and Drew Lock is definitely a better situation to have than either Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert. And the fact that you're getting it at home, that's a win. All right, so Saints. I don't care if you're getting them at home. That's a loss. Drew Brees is going to be a man on a mission this year. He's got probably just this year left to attempt to run with that roster and get another Super Bowl. Maybe next year too, but it's a 40-year-old quarterback, okay? He is on borrowed time. He's going to be on fire this year. All right, so at the Chiefs. If you can't beat the Chiefs in your stadium, you definitely can't beat them in their stadium. All right? Again, wait at least a year before we start talking about competing with the Chiefs. At the Panthers. This is a toss-up game for me. The Panthers had so many moving parts in their offseason. Just so many. Christian McCaffrey's a freak, and you are not going to stop him. I don't care what you do on defense. Fangio is great defensive mind. McCaffrey's got too many different ways he can hurt you. So, even if you stop him in the running game, he's going to knife you in the receiving game. You don't have the defensive personnel to deal with that. You just don't. They've made some upgrades. We'll see what Bridgewater does. There's just so many new pieces there. New head coach, new starting quarterback, new number 1 wide receiver, and an entire draft's worth of new defensive players. Most of those guys are going to be expected to start because the defense of Carolina was crap last year. So, all of those guys gelling is going to take a long time. By this point in the season, it may have started to happen. It's a road game. You've got a young quarterback. They've got a veteran quarterback. In spite of a new head coach, I think they have enough of a leg up with the Christian McCaffrey situation to bring this into the toss-up category. But really, the Broncos are the stronger team, and if you were getting them at home, I'd call this a guaranteed win. So, you're getting the Bills at home, and they're going to pound you. Okay, I don't think people are talking enough about how strong the Bills are going to be this year. They were a playoff team last year. They really, by all rights, should have beat Houston. Josh Allen just wasn't ready for that. All right? Everybody, when Josh Allen was coming out of the draft, they said, look, this dude is a 3 to 4 year project before he really shows us what he can be. Well, now we're in year 3. So look out. All right? He's already put so much out there on film to be terrified of what he brings to the table. And 3 years in the same offense, I think he puts it together. They traded for one of the best wide receivers in the league It's going to make that offense dynamic. And they had one of, if not the best defenses in the league. You can't compete with that right now. You just can't. So, at the Chargers, this is a toss-up game. You definitely thump on that team in your home stadium. On the road could be a different story. At this point in the year, though, they probably will be starting Herbert. So, they've got a better defense than you, for certain. Personnel-wise, at the very least. Maybe not on the coaching side. But yeah, the simple fact that it's on the road is the only thing that I'm saying is putting this in the toss-up category. Yeah, Locke's just not at a point in his experience, in his career, that I'm going to call out road wins as a guarantee. Almost ever. Raiders, you're getting them at home, so that makes it a toss-up. This is guaranteed loss in their stadium. But also, they might not be starting everybody. At this point in the year, for them, they might already have a playoff spot locked up, and they might already not really have anything to gain by starting anybody. So, yeah, coin flip situation against the Raiders to end the season. So out of the games that I think are just a lock, one way or the other, you're 2-5. You take the ones that are a toss-up, split them close to down the middle, leaning towards wins in this case because the strength of schedule is relatively weak. 7-9. All right, so it's a crap loss season. So many losing seasons in a row for the Broncos. Oh my God, they can't handle this. You were spoiled by having Mike Shanahan, John Elway, and an ownership situation that refused to rebuild. Always win now mode. Well, none of those things are happening anymore. And it finally came down to earth. You had Manning bridging the gap for a little bit. But, John Elway's not walking in that door as a quarterback. Neither is Peyton Manning. So now you got to deal with what's going on, what all the other teams in the league have had to deal with for this entire time that you've been spoiled by fantastic quarterback play and high-quality coaching. It takes a while to build something fresh unless you have the guy. And you're in that building stage. This is going to be another losing season, yes. But from this loss, you're going to build many, many victories. Drew Lock is going to prove himself to be definitely the quarterback of the present for the Denver Broncos, not just the wonderful thought of a quarterback of the future. So, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, fellas. Check out the other videos that I've got going on because I'm making one of these for every single team. There's a couple of divisions worth out already. Hit me up on Patreon. So, most of my content during the season is fantasy football related. I dominate fantasy football leagues, and I would love to impart more knowledge onto you. If you need help with your fantasy lineup, with your draft prep, I'm your guy. Thanks for watching, guys.